you once again for joining us on TalkinFight and another discussion about the Olympics, in particular boxing at the Olympics underway this week. Christian, how's it going?
It's going well. We've got some ground to cover as we've finished day 5 now of the Olympic boxing tournament at Tokyo, which is bringing us up to quarterfinal action. So we're going to run through the recaps on day 5 here, and something to bear in mind at this point in time is all winners from these matches at this point now are guaranteed at least a bronze medal moving forward. So we are starting to get into the realm of medalists at these Olympics. So diving in on the morning session here, we started off with Nettie Petecchio of the Philippines taking out Jenny Marcela Reyes of Colombia in a 5-0 sweep. Now, Petecchio has been, rock solid so far through this tournament. She's had 3 fights so far, winning another one here to advance to the semifinal round. She was the first fighter to have her hand raised in Tokyo at this tournament on the very first bout of the entire competition, and is moving forward into those semis. In some sad news for us, Graham, Irma Testa of Italy took out Caroline Veyer of Canada today in another 5-0 sweep, unfortunately. Now, Testa was out in the last 8 back in Rio, and this time she's through to at least a bronze medal. She was sharp in all 3 of her fights so far, and frankly, pretty dominant here over Veyer. Testa was just too good at range and sniped at Veyer throughout the entire match here. Now, Veyer's a solid boxer. We just never got to see really what's in her arsenal in this particular fight. She just came up short, unfortunately, and there's not much else to say about it. In the women's middleweights, though, Great Britain's Lauren Price took out Mayagmar Jargal Munkbat of Mongolia in another 5-0 sweep here. Now, Price went into this one heavily favored, and she fought like it as well, totally dominating throughout the course of this entire fight. It almost looked a bit easy for Price, and she just picked Munkbat apart for 3 solid rounds. Munkbat was tentative throughout the course of this fight. Every time she did try to come forward with something, she just basically walked into a lot of really nice shots. So no luck there for the Mongolians. Athenia Bailon of Panama took out Caitlin Parker of Australia in another 5-0 sweep. We saw a few of these today. Now, Bailon is tall and uses that height and reach advantage to her advantage, I should say here. Maybe not the prettiest or most effective style here, but she does use it to present problems. Her matchup with Price, who she'll be facing next, should be a little bit more interesting than what Price saw against Munkbat. Parker just tried came into the fight here trying just about everything here. The Aussie tried everything she could, including roughing it up a little bit here, but didn't win a single round on any of these cards here. She might have had a bit of an argument for the first round here, but the judges just did not see it that way. In some good news for Canada, though, Graham, we still do have Tamara Thibault here, and she took out Nadezhda Ryabets of Kazakhstan in a 4-1 split here. We saw very different body types here, and frankly, an ugly fight with not really a whole lot landing from either side, but Thibault did the better work here at the end of the day. Rybets is only 20, though, and so we should see her back again come Paris in 2024. Tamara is going to have to clean her style up and kind of knuckle down, though, if she wants to see herself move any farther in this tournament. I think she got through a little bit on luck here on this particular one, because, again, this was a bit of an ugly fight. Moving on, though, Nuchka Fontjen of the Netherlands took out Elizabeta Wojcik of Poland in a 4-1 split. Fontjen, you guys will remember, took silver at Rio, but did have to earn this one. Rallying after being swept on the cards in the first round, the 25-year-old Wojcik gave this a good go, made Fontjen earn it. But, she did earn it in the end, winning the second and rather dominating in the third round, flipping the switch a little bit there and forcing a standing 8 in the third. In the men's featherweight, we saw Kurt Walker of Ireland defeat Mirzakhalilov of Uzbekistan. Now, Mirzakhalilov was heavily favored coming into this one, but the Ukrainian judge even gave the Uzbek all 3 cards, which was interesting, I guess what we can call that. You might be able to make an argument for him winning 2 of the 3, maybe, but there's no question that Walker took the first round. And he probably did deserve the fight overall. And that's how the judges scored it, 29-28 for Walker. Now, Walker is leaving this one with cuts on or near both eyes. But it was a great win for the Irish fighter at the end of the day, and made good because, at many points throughout the course of this fight, Mirzakalilov was showing him exactly why he was favored to win this fight. So this was by no means a walkover for him here. Duke Reagan of the U.S. took out Serek Temirjanov of Kazakhstan in another 5-0 sweep here. Now, like his teammate Delonte Johnson yesterday, Reagan looked a lot better in this fight than he did in his first, and was a lot sharper here, winning the first and third pretty clearly. Well, Temirjanov, who is a good fighter himself, had a solid argument for the second round there. And that's just about how the judges saw it as well. So the Cincinnati fighter now is going to be matching up with Walker in the quarterfinals. So for Walker's sake, I do hope that he heals up a little bit, and that those cuts over the eyes don't turn into what we saw a couple of different spots here today. Samuel Taki of the Black Bombers, Ghana, took out Jean-Carlos Casedo of Ecuador in a 5-0 sweep as well. The unanimous decision on this one may make it look a little bit like a mismatch here, but this fight was actually anything but. This was actually, even though it was 5-0 here, this was competitive throughout. Taki swept the first. Casedo won the second, won 4 cards in the second to put it all on the line in the third. And that's when Taki secured it by sweeping the third. The 20-year-old from Ghana might, be someone to watch out for here, guys. And not just at this competition, but also as a possible pro prospect over in the next couple of years. Now, Casedo fought well, but someone has to lose every time we step into the ring here at the Olympics. And he was a sportsman about it. He was a gentleman, even though when he lost, he clearly, if you looked at the look on his face, clearly felt that the scoring should have gone the other way on this one. Cesar David Avila of Colombia took out Everesto Molenga of Zambia in a 3-2 split. Now, this was a lot closer. This was a good fight. Molenga has some obvious talent here, but Avila was a better technician and more experienced overall. And at the end of the day, maturity is really what gave him the edge here. The Chinese judge sought 3-0 on the cards for Molenga, which was an interesting perspective, I guess. But either way, Avila is going to move on to face Taki in another I know he's another young, talented guy, and he's probably going to have to try to outcraft them more than anything else. So it's going to, stylistically, that's going to be a really good fight to watch. Avila is also small, I should mention, for this weight, but has so far been making this work for him. Now, the men's light heavyweights, Imam Katyev of the Russian Olympic Committee took out Berkstead Nurdolatov of Kazakhstan in a 4-1 split. Now, this was a bit of an upset, as Nurdolatov was pretty heavily favored in this fight. Now, Katyev got to where he is here by basically just pure aggression and beasting his way through that round of 32. And while he didn't really overwhelm the Kazakh that way he had got to this point, he did do a lot of good work and prove that he's not just pure aggression. He is a good aggressive boxer, of course, though. Now Nurdolatov won the second round, but the first and third were pretty clearly Katyev's. It was a good physical fight, and this one was a lot closer to a pro style than what we're seeing in a lot of other fights here at the Olympics. Katyev looks like he could be a real medal threat in this category. Ghazi Magadomed Jaledov of Spain took out Paulo Acuso of Australia in a 3-2 split. Now, competitive fight, but the scoring got this one right. Jaledov nicked the first round, really, and won the third, and Acuso took the second. The Kazakh judge had this scored at 30-27 for Acuso, which was, again, interesting to say the least on this one. But that's why we've got 5 judges now. Jaledov will be facing Katyev, and which should be facing up to be, that's going to be a good slugfest, and that'll be worth watching for sure. Because again, Katyev is mostly pure aggression here. Keno Mikado of Brazil took out Daxiang Chen of China in a 5-0 sweep. Now, Chen got dropped in the first, and then the fight was cut short in the second round on a cut to Chen. That sent it to the cards, and at that point, it really had to go to Mikado here. He's clearly got some thump, but he's going to be an interesting one to watch moving forward. And this is what we said the last couple of days. When we see a cut in these games, it's almost like they flip a coin, whether or not they're going to allow the fight to move forward or not. More often than not, though, we usually do see these things stopped on cuts. And that's not always... It shouldn't always be the case because they're not always as serious as they make them out to be. But moving along. One of our favorites here, as always, Ben Whittaker of Great Britain, defeating Abdulrahman Salah of Egypt in a 5-0 sweep. What do you say here? Whittaker was superior boxer overall. He was a better boxer. Salah just really couldn't do much anything with him. The Egyptian did give the effort and, really did try to find something. He found an extra gear in the third round, but it made him sloppy and basically just left him wide open to Whittaker. So pretty much an easy walkthrough for Whittaker on this one here, and we'll be seeing more from him moving forward. That brings us into the afternoon sessions and the women's featherweight quarterfinals. Started off with Karis Ardingstall of Great Britain taking out Skye Nicholson of Australia in a 3-2 split. Go back and watch this one if you haven't had a chance to. And walking into this fight, my money was on Nicholson. I was wrong on this one. And don't get me wrong, I like Ardingstall, but I thought Nicholson was going to take this one walking into it. This was heartbreaker for Nicholson, and this was just so close. Just an extremely competitive fight throughout every round. All of them could have gone either way, really, at the end of the day. Nicholson in the third just needed either the Kazakh judge or the Thai judge to see it her way, and neither one of them did. Ardingstall's really sound when she finds her range and gets her jab going, and she's been sharp in 3 fights so far. Nicholson did make her Ardingstall miss more than she had in her previous bouts and managed to land a few good shots of her own, working a good looping left hand to the body. And that worked for pretty much throughout the whole fight. But this was really just, a really hard split. And so, Nicholson, even though she's coming up short on a medal this go around, she can walk away from this one knowing that she's every bit good enough to take one. It just didn't break her way with the judges for this particular bout. But, go back and watch this one yourself. It was a really good match. Irie Sena of Japan took out Maria Nachita of Romania in a 3-2 split. The 20-year-old Irie wins her third fight, just as Ardingstall had. And this was a close one, too. It wasn't quite the nail-biter as Ardingstall and Nicholson was. But Nachita made it pardon me. But Nachita did make it a bit of a closer fight here with a nice third round, rallying when she was already trailing on the cards here. First round was tight, but Irie had the edge, and then Irie swept the second round. She's been a lot of fun to watch, and if the spectators had been allowed in the stands, this one you would have seen them going absolutely wild. Irie Sena being one of the hometown favorites here. So this is one of those points where you really do, one of the few points where at least myself really did notice the lack of spectators when you see a hometown favorite doing really well. But we move along into the women's middleweights, and Zenfira Magomedlieva of the Russian Olympic Committee took out Naomi Graham of the United States in a 3-2 split. So this one, again, a lot of people thought this was going to go the other way walking into this one for Naomi Graham. Magomedlieva is a veteran and a former heavyweight and light heavyweight in that order. So she's been coming down in weight to make Olympics as a middleweight. And she used that to her advantage and every trick she could find with it. She was just a little bit better overall. She was a little bit more clever, just staying on this side of dirty, which is what we call clever these days. And Graham did well, to tighten this up, especially in the third. But she lost on all 5 cards in the first round, and that really just hit her at the end. And Magomedlieva was using that weight throughout the course of this entire thing. Anytime they'd come together, you could see she just used that extra weight to lean on Graham to help try to tire her down. I guess that's what passes for clever or veterans tricks at this stage of the game, or at least in this fight. But on to another Graham, Rady Graham of Mozambique took out Erica Pachito of Ecuador in a 4-1 split. Now, Rady Graham dropped her opponent in the first round. Dropped the first round, I should say, but rallied afterwards, winning 4 cards in the second and 4 in the third. So it was dead level at 19-19 apiece as we moved into the third. And at the end of the day, it was Rady Graham's work rate and her conditioning that really saw her through this one, as her opponent just ran out of gas getting in about halfway through the third there. A name you guys will be familiar with from the coverage we've been doing running up to the Olympics, Pooja Rani of India took out Ikrak Chaib of Algeria in a 5-0 split. Now, this one, again, was very much about experience. Chai really tried here, but she's 20 years old, and as of Rio 2016, she had never set foot in a ring at that point in time. So just the fact that she's here at all is pretty wild, and speaks to the promise that she has in this sport. But Rani is 30 years old and a veteran here who won her first major medal at the Asian Championships back in 2012 and won gold at that competition in 2019 as a light heavyweight and 2021 as a middleweight. So experience on her side there. Qian Li of China took out Effie O'Rourke of Ireland, and the Irish having another tough day here. Now, Li was just a little bit classier and just really more experienced and knew her way around the ring better at this level. O'Rourke had a good engine throughout the course of this fight, but it really did bring some fight to Li, but just did not land enough shots. Li was just too quick and had too much finesse going here, and basically made Effie O'Rourke miss more than she was landing, and that's what took her out at the end of the day. In the men's featherweights, we saw Laszlo Alvarez of Cuba take out Daniel Shakbaksha of Iran. Now, this one ended in injury. Shakbaksha came into this one with a cut on his forehead from a fight he had during the round of 32. When that opened up again in the second round, fight gets stopped. Was this a bad cut? No, not really. But again, this is the Olympics, not pro boxing. Alvarez is good as a good fighter, but he hasn't got the overall, he hasn't gotten over the hump in the Olympics so far here. He took bronze as a bantamweight in 2012 and bronze again as a lightweight in 2016. So now he's trying to get the gold as a featherweight in that division in between those ones there. Shakbuk was outclassed here overall. But, it didn't come in awe of the Cuban at all. He was given a go out at him here, but just wasn't fast enough at the end of the day. Chachi Bukdi of Thailand took out Mecro Coelho of Argentina. Experience versus youth again, very much so in this particular fight, and experience as usual wins out. Coelho has some promise, but Bukdi is, he's still a damn good amateur here, and his hope and is a good hope to medal this year. He came up short in 2012 as well as in 2016, and he's going to have to go through Laszlo Alvarez, but that still could be very much winnable for him here. Bukti isn't a pushover for anyone, so that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye out for, is Alvarez versus Bukti moving forward. Senbatar Erdnabat of Mongolia took out Van Duong Nguyen of Vietnam in a 5-0 sweep here. Now, Erdnabat also fought at Rio in 2016 as a bantamweight, and was just too good for Nguyen, who was, he was spirited, he was energetic, he was quick, but just not boxing at the same level. Erdnabat was a quarterfinalist in 2016. He'll be at least a quarterfinalist now here in Tokyo. So Albert Badargaziev of the Russian Olympic Committee took out Alexei de la Cruz of Dominican Republic in a 5-0 sweep. Another one of the more competitive fights than what the 5-0 scorecard might make you think. This was tense going to the cards, and honestly, the judging was, again, interesting. An argument could be made that Badargaziev had won the first 2 rounds, and 2 of the 5 judges thought that, but 3 of the 5 judges gave the second to De La Cruz. And then De La Cruz should have won the third, but none of the judges happened to see it that way. So Badargaziev ended up on all 5 cards. But De La Cruz had his success as well. So at the end, he was just dead gassed, but from the effort that he put in. But Badargaziev moves on and to face Erdnabat, which is not going to be an easy fight. That one's going to be a slugfest. I don't expect to see exactly a finesse fight out of that one either. We're going to see, I don't see a lot of that being a very mobile fight either. They're going to stay pretty solid where they are, and you're just going to see a lot of trading, in my personal opinion. In the men's light heavy, we saw Arlen Lopez of Cuba take out Mohamed Humri of Algeria in a 5-0 bout here. Class proving out. Cuba's Lopez won gold at Rio 2016 as a middleweight. Now he's going for the same as the light heavy. He is the number 3 seed in this for this tournament, but as we've already seen, the number 1 seed and the number 4 seed eliminated in the top half of the bracket. Not that there aren't quality fighters still remaining up there. So he doesn't exactly have a walkthrough to get to keep moving on, but some of his more touted competition has already been sent off. So Rogelio Romero of Mexico took out Luka Plantic of Croatia in a 4-1 split. And this is not how I thought this one was going to go. I thought Plantic had this one walking into it. These guys went to war, is the best way to put it. If you didn't get a chance to watch this one, this is one of the ones worth going back to check out. Great fight, plenty of big swings, plenty of good shots landing. And again, a much more professional style than we see in a lot of these fights. Plantic won all 5 cards in the first. Romero won all 5 cards in the second. And then Romero took 4 out of 5 in the third to advance. Just overall good action from both of these guys. And Romero's going to need all of that and probably some luck against Lopez as well. But it's going to be an interesting style clash. But definitely go back and watch that one. Really entertaining fight. Bayram Malkan of Turkey took out Shakul Samit of Ghana. Now, this one, again, got stopped in the second when Malkan dropped Samit on a right hand. Samit has 2 older brothers who also fought for the Black Bombers in Beijing in 2008. And he really went for this one. Very aggressive and really wanted to bring a medal home for Ghana here. But Malkan just got his timing down and was picking him off pretty much every time he came forward. Just figured out the timing, and that's half the game right there. Lorenzo Alfonso Dominguez of Azerbaijan took out Dilshad Ruzmatov of Uzbekistan today as well in a 4-1 split. Now, Dominguez is another Cuban expat who found his way to Azerbaijan. And after the first round being fairly close, he just styled his way past Ruzmatov from the last 2, making him connect with a little more than air for the most part. It was a good showing, and Dominguez has to be considered a real medal threat at this point in time after this fight. And because he was a solid opponent, and again, he just danced circles around him. One to watch going forward for sure. But that closes out day 5, Graham. And then moving forward, we're going to be talking nothing but medals as we move into day 6 and onward. As we get to the quarterfinals, everybody we've talked about today with a win is guaranteed minimally a bronze medal. And we'll be moving into the semis after that. So it's starting to heat up, and I'm getting excited. Hope you are too.
Absolutely. It's been a great competition so far. A little bit of controversy that I was reporting on yesterday, the good old ear-biting incident, which I see has made its way to all the mainstream headlines now.
How does that, I'm sorry, just the mindset. I mean, I understand this guy keeps tying you up. You're in a clinch. You're frustrated. You're angry. Your plan isn't going to plan. But what makes you think, with all the cameras on you, I mean, never mind the spectators that are normally there, all the cameras on you, the ref 3 feet away from you, the 5 judges, that you think, I'm just going to have a nibble here. No one will notice that.
Having said that, the ref actually missed it.
Well, it's actually, but that's my point, is even if the ref does miss it, there's many other people watching, not counting us at home watching. We're all watching. You know, there's still 5 judges watching. There's all the cameras watching. What makes you think you're going to get away with that?
I know. It was obviously a very spontaneous decision.
Or lack thereof, I guess.
But
yeah.
You know, it was a 5-0 sweep by the Kiwi. So, but anyway, it's making all the traditional mainstream media.
Oh, yeah, even without the bite or attempted biting, David Knight was going to take that one for sure. That was not an upset by any means.
Yeah, no. So it's been a good competition, and that has certainly, I don't know, surprising or not so surprisingly, made the headlines more than anything else going on at the competition related to boxing. That is. So it's really good to see that we're narrowing in on the finalists now, and those anticipating a podium finish. I don't know. It's going to be. I don't know. Is there any clear-cut winners looking so far?
Again, I mean, there's a few guys that like
the pro boxers out of the U.S. I guess would be favored. I suppose.
Naomi Graham. How did Naomi Graham do to you yesterday?
Right.
Pro boxer, I keep saying this. Pro boxer doesn't mean a damn thing at the Olympics.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Completely separate, completely different game plans, completely different styles. So guys like Genzima Gomedov for the Russians, or the Russian Olympic Committee in the heavyweights. Ben Whitaker, Shkobat and Zwirev down in like the feather or the flyweights kind of thing. There's a few guys that you can go, yeah, we can pretty much guarantee we're going to see them in a gold medal bout. But there's no one where you can just say at this point in time, no, he or she has no
Right.
competition and is just going to be an absolute, stroll to the top of the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes it a great competition. And so long as, quite frankly, we see the best of the best going toe to toe each of these days leading up to the finals, we as spectators are going to have an enjoyable next few days. That's for sure.
Yeah, and some of these guys, like I said, we're going to see as we get closer to it, because there's not just one. I mean, I know we keep talking about it's speed and accuracy that win at Olympic at this level, or in amateur boxing, especially at this level. But we're going to see some style clashes. Like I said, Katyev, the Russian, he basically got to where he is right now in just pure aggression, and not finding himself on the back foot at all as he moves forward. So versus some of these other guys like Lopez or Alvarez, who are going to be more stylistic fighters. So we're going to see some style clashes, which are going to be really interesting as we get closer to the end here, because again, there's as much as it is speed and accuracy, there's definitely a couple of different approaches to how that speed and accuracy are delivered that we've been seeing. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing some different styles coming head to head.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's the interesting thing. I mean, whether you're an old cagey veteran or a youngster full of vim and vigor. There's those kinds of matchups that we've seen take place already versus the stylistic matchups that are taking place. And, going into these Olympics, we'd called out whether it be the Kazakhs or the Uzbeks, they put forward some pretty solid competitors at the Asian Games. And we thought they were going to do well at these Olympics. The American pros made a lot of noise. But I mean, Keyshawn Davis.
Well, that's because the Americans have the biggest bullhorn. That's what it is at the end of the day. Is of course the Americans make the most noise because they've got the largest media infrastructure behind them.
Well, unless you're in Britain and you're watching the BBC, I suppose. But
well, yeah, but even even our friends in the UK are well aware of what the Americans are doing, because again, it's and you found the same thing in the run up to the Olympics. There's certain countries also that are writing about boxers, that even when these aren't Olympic years, that do more writing. The Indians, the Uzbeks, the Kazakhs, the Americans, the Brits and the Irish. Even when it's not Olympic years, they do a lot of writing about their boxers. Their sports writers are out there talking about their amateur boxers, not just when there's a huge competition coming up, like the Olympics or the Commonwealth or the Pan Ams or things like that. Whereas some of these, we don't hear a lot. And that's, you and I had not issues, but a bit of an uphill battle finding stories in the run up to the Olympics about some of our friends down in Africa or South America, where they're not necessarily doing the same amount of writing about this in the run up. So we're trying to bring stories to people about what some of these competitions are going to look like. But we're still seeing names, or at least our viewers are hearing names sometimes for the first time at the Olympics, because we haven't had the time or found the stories about these guys in the run-ups. So, yeah, the Americans make a lot of noise, but there's a handful of countries that do.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's great to see these fighters from across the world go toe-to-toe. They are the best of the best, whether in their own division, their own country, their own geographical area. And now we're seeing them all come together. It's interesting to see the other athletes at the games, whether they complain about the various difficulties of getting to the Olympics this year. I haven't heard one boxer complain yet that there's a lack of qualifiers or there was a lack of competition heading up to the Olympics. I think they've been fairly well paced, and I've really enjoyed these games so far.
Yeah, I haven't heard a whole lot on that. I mean, you're not going to hear a ton of complaints about the qualifying system, because the people you're looking at now are the people who qualified. So the people that you're looking at now aren't going to be complaining about the system that put them there necessarily.
True.
Although we are hearing, even Mandy Bujold mentioned just the other day that it had been 18 months since the last time she had had a chance to step in the ring on a competitive, on any kind of competitive note. So we are hearing, some rumblings about the lack of competition in the lead up. from different corners. Obviously, we know that some some countries, the Indians, for example, and as well as a lot of the Central Europeans managed to make it to a lot of different tournaments throughout the course of 2021 leading up to this.
Yeah.
So whereas our friends here at home and in the U.S. didn't have that opportunity to do a lot of travel and to get those competitions and those sparring opportunities in. So we have been hearing some grumblings, but you're not going to hear it about the qualifiers themselves, again, because they're here now.
Yeah. Yep, correct. And that was, to Aiden's point, that was Mandy's position, was that she was unfairly unqualified initially to compete at the Olympics because of her time off taken when she would have been going through the qualifiers, and the rankings were chosen based on previously held positions. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so good stuff and good comments from Aiden. Appreciate it very much. And I guess you're out of town tomorrow, so I'll be doing this solo. And but if you get back early enough, I hope to see you tomorrow.
See what I can do, Graham. If not, I'll be watching somewhere from my cell phone, keeping tabs on you.
Yeah, and I like Mervyn Clare as well. To Aiden's point. Anyway, must run. Got to go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And as I said, we'll see you then, I guess, on Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Excellent.